Hey guys, how are you? Got a great clip for you. In fact, it's a two-part clip that I'm going to be doing. It's detailed, it's lengthy. The second part will only go out on the Reset Sniper. It's a Reset Sniper clip. First part will go out on both the Market Sniper and Reset Sniper. If you want to see part two, you're going to need to go over to the Reset Sniper, hit the subscribe and hit the bell button. Okay, let's get into what I'm talking to you. The end of times, the great collapse of empire. This is not a small topic. This is high drama topic. I'm in it. I'm right there. I'm in the thick of it. This is how it's going to go down. We have an over-indebted empire. So if you're following me here, you'll see we're in the green arm here with a hand. The over-indebtedness and end of empire times. So you've seen it in Rome. You've seen it in history. Every time empires collapse, they collapse after financial degradation. We have a huge over-indebted environment, but the key element, and I take you up the orange highway to the second bubble, is the fact that worldwide it's different this time. When I say it's different, it's the same, but it rhymes. It's not exactly the same. As Mark Twain said, the problem is the same and the outcome will be the same, but this one's taken a little twist. How's it twisted? Guess what? The way the game is twisting is that the collapse of the US empire, the dollar as the monetary equivalent and all of this, the standard currency of the world, is going to be slightly different in that there is no one else ready to take the banner. Many have said during the boom of China, 2009, bottom of the lows, when China was buying every commodity and pumping and everyone else was soft. Well, that was just so, as per the orange box, they could get heavily indebted as well. So what's actually going to happen is worldwide, everyone will be a leper in the leper colony. That's what's going to be different this time. Previously, when the British Empire collapsed, the American Empire was standing by, the Dutch naval empire collapsed, the British Empire was standing by, etc., etc. All of these things existed. What's happened now is that we have synchronized, and this you can determine was by accident or by design. It's quite clear to me that, from my perspective, that it's by design. Every major region in the world and all the major nation states have all got a central bank, and they have perpetuated the same sins to get the same outcome, to get the same sickness. In other words, everyone needs to be a leper in the leper colony. And if you're one of the few that aren't, think Singapore, you're stuck. You actually have to destroy currency and do all the same things. Otherwise, you get appreciated out too high. Think the Swiss franc and some of the instances there. So what have we got here? 2009 to 15, we had the China debt bump. We've got Australia and New Zealand. These were places that in the 60s and 70s and the 50s and the 40s totally desynced generally from what was going on in Europe or what was going on in Western America or Latin America for that matter. Now all synchronized. They're having their housing bubble sustained mega loop because they had a bit of Chinese money coming in when 2008 occurred. So they didn't dip like all the other nations. They are going to be ruined banking sector. They're going to be, there's going to be credit crunched Aussies and Kiwis on the downsell. It's already happening. You can see other YouTubes I've done and other YouTubes people have done on that property market. The shattered banking system of the EU. It never was fixed, so they still sick as dogs. You've got Deutsche Bank and Commerzbank merging in a marriage of the two ugliest, most leprosy-ridden marriage that you've ever done. Literally, you'd have to go to Vegas and the preacher would keep you apart with a stick and wouldn't want to get close to this. It's such a toxic wedding. This is toxic bank pre the toxic collapse, although actually the toxic collapse has already happened in 08, 09, but was kept alive, etc., etc., EU bail-ins. Latin America and Africa, they all have dollar-based debt. In other words, they have a forex risk and they are high in the debt. There are certain exceptions, such as Uruguay, for example, in Latin America, but generally Botswana reasonably frugally run in Africa. But there aren't many cases. Those regions as a whole, all sitting stuffed to the gills. Think of your economic hitman. come and get your power station. We'll lend you the money. Halliburton will come in and help you and do the contract. Then we'll lend you on decent rates. Boom, 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 boom. You're sitting there with a South African rand and you've got dollar debt, and then your currency slipping, and then next time they owe you. They owe you. This is a mafia. They owe you. They are tertiary extractors. They are parasites. The economic hitman has ensured that everybody is in trouble. Okay, so that's where we are. And then they will say, when we have our great resets, globalization, we were all intertwined. It just so happened that everybody then ended up on the same page and all bust. So when America fell, we all fell. We were dominoes. We one, fail all. Who could have seen this happening? Black swan event, a la Greenspan, etc., and other absolute manure that'll come out of various people's mouths. But the key thing is, what will their responses be? The responses, the blue bits. Yes, so here we go. So how are they going to react when they've orchestrated this absolutely choreographed game of theirs? The responses. First of all, as we're starting to slide, in fact, they should be responding now. They are supposedly responding now. We are soft as all hell. The IMF is wetting the bed about global having a soft patch. The Draghi just about slit his wrists. And of course, the Fed did their full about turn after diverging, and we're going to up interest rates. Whoops, we ain't doing that anymore. So basically, they're going to keep carrying on doing what they've done. This message hasn't changed in terms of what I've said before. Ignore and kick the can. So in the essence of all the Fed chairmen, it's been après moi le déluge. This is French. After me, the storm. Louis XV. In other words, each Fed chairman is just there to get through his stint. He's pulled the pin. They're passing the hand grenade. It hasn't blown up on their watch, and that's the game. Pretend and extend. That's going to keep going until you actually mathematically run out of runway. This big, heavy Hercules laden with debt is going to get to the end of the runway, still traveling at 80 kilometers an hour, hasn't hit takeoff speed, plows into the forest, into a lovely fireball. What are they going to do when the actual reset is enforced on them? Every last trick is taken and they realize it's got to roll. Well, big tax increases. This is coming. US marginal rates, 37%. They've been before as high as 90%. But tax take of the total GDP is always in and around 18%, 17.7%, 18% last year, regardless of what the marginal take is. You put silly rates out there, you're going to get still 18%. Yes, you might have a short-term spike. It'll just be like a little bit of a quick hit, and then it'll fizzle all the way back down. It'll kill economic activity. You'll drop all the way down, and then you will get, at the end of the day, roughly 80. And that's 8 decades, guys. 8 decades worth of history in the US that will tell you you're within a very small standard deviation in and around 18% of GDP that you will get, regardless of your tax system. So let's carry on. So the Democrats are going to be wealth taxes, property taxes, I suspect might come into play later, marginal tax rate hikes. All of them are into that. These are your commies. This is the socialism wave that's coming. This is the eventual Bolshevikism that they're going to have. There's going to be corporatocracy, in literally major corporate champions in each industry, the one world order for each industry, most of which will be run by control structure people. There'll be the megacorps. You have your, beware the word unicorns, by the way, nasty symbolism attached, go research that. But your unicorn companies like Google, Amazon, they will all have lots of aspects that they'll be doing and serving for government and dark states. All defenses on Amazon servers in the US. Google is CIA, it's basically the tech division of the CIA, etc., etc. More on surveillance to come. Anyway, so I've got a lot to run through. In fact, I might have to split this in 3 parts. So let's get the first, let's keep going. So the Democrats, they're all going to come in with this. What about the big tax increases? What else? They might do a private pensions tax. Those that have saved Savers must be punished. People who have acted responsibly must be punished. In other words, they want their slave sheeple nation so that they can become, government can become the taxer and the giver of revenue and income. That way, government is entrenched as critical and a large part. And of course, while they take revenue 10 and they give 1, they sit on 9 and they distribute it between the cartel themselves and fat cats. 1 for you, 1 for me. 1 for you, 1 for me. 1 for you, 1 for me, 1 for you, 1 for me, etc. Like the grandpa sorting out the biscuits between the grandkids, something like that. Anyway, they default on. What can they default on? Creditors, aka bondholders, your gilts, your T-bills, everything. They can do an out-and-out default. I don't think that's going to come so strong. They might do it on some. They might segment. They might try differentiate at some point and try drop them, but I don't think it. I think the defaults are going to come on their commitments too. Social security. Yes, social security right there. That's where I'm pointing at. So in the US, and this is going to mirror for the UK, you know, your NHS, it's going to be health, it's going to be your state pensions, all these things are going to be constricted down. The commitments they made, they're going to the next level, renege on the social commitments, health, welfare for the disabled, etc. So all of these people, the poor are going to be hit on welfare, the sick are going to be hit on health, the disabled are going to be hit on disability support. So unless you're rich and young, you're going to have all these things being trimmed on you. And then orange box, shady arrow to the right-hand side that you're seeing here. What's going to happen is part of the solution to this post-reset is the forcing through of universal basic income. This keeps getting brought forward. They want this, oh, this radical idea that's so great and awesome. We're thinking out of the box. This is being sold like a stroke of genius out of it. It's flipping communism, mate. There is nothing else. UBI equals communism. Standing wage for every citizen. But you think that doesn't sound so bad. Where does the money come from? UBI. What it will mean is continual, feeds into QE indefinitely. Keep creating money, keep debasing money, give money to the peasants. Give money to the peasants in trenches. Government, everyone gets it for being alive. Oh, this is so cool. Debase the money, keep debasing the money. Therefore, everyone's income keeps dropping down, keep taxing. Debasing money is taxation, it's inflation, it's all of it. It's how they steal from you. So you get a certain amount and then it buys you less and less every year they give it because they have to recreate it. And what's happening is they're also taking it from other people. It's got to come from other people and they're proliferating. So the minute you have a piece of money in that bank account, they will start diminishing it. What does that do? It encourages you to spend and creates consumption growth that they desperately need. That fear is deflation, deflation, deflation. So renege on the social contracts and then there's a possible solution. Remember, it's problem, reaction, solution. They have created this problem, synchronizing the entire world in a debt-based situation. Here are their responses to it currently and then later when it comes. Default on various things, but then bring in this alternative, the solution. Everyone will get some money. Fiat debasement, I've already touched on that. That's this little blue square there. Proliferate fiat to debase the debt that they owe. In other words, keep diminishing the debt, reducing it, reducing it, reducing it by creating more and more money. That means it is being proliferated away. Proliferate away the debt. Keep creating new money. So what does that do to debt holders? If you're invested in bond, what does that do to your pension fund that's invested in that bond? It doesn't keep track truly with inflation. Now I need to speak about inflation. Inflation is not price increases. Inflation is expansion of monetary supply. That should normally lead to price increases later. However, if you're doing only the money expansion in a banking sector and bailing out the bank, and that's money's not getting to the other people, they get deflation. In other words, there's no growth, they get hurt, they get really, really bad. So prices aren't necessarily going up in all things at all for them, and all the money is sitting in rebuilding banks' balance sheets. That's what happened in 08, 09. Yes, the buying power keeps going down of your money because if you create more of them, it buys less. So certain assets will go up in that environment, including even property. But first a smash, because it's going to be a banking-led failure again. So fiat debasement, returning soldiers become private security, a highly armed response. This goes all the way to how they are going to get, and we'll cover this in part 2, the 4 great attacks, the pillars of totalitarian state overreach, one of them involving militarization and creating work for returning soldiers that then become SWAT members. We ain't going in that today. I'll go into it fully with you next time. So fiat debasement, QE indefinitely. This justification will be the gift of UBI for everybody. Worldwide citizen payments as a first leg-in of communism, free money. But they will also utilize this to get you into systems. To collect your payment, you must, aka have XYZ tax number, report where you stay, maybe in future take a chip in your hand so that you can be scanned to see if your payment has arrived, have it directly sent to you, utilize it for scanning and payment to get your reduced rate on your public transport, your reduced rate on your food stamps when you get them issued to you at the supermarket, any discounts, all only on the basis you play the game on how they do it, which will be their new monetary system, which is going to be electronic money and the death of cash. They want the death of cash, and they want your chip in your hand. In other words, never take it. I'll cover that in part 2. Never, never take it. I've done it already. What other solutions are they going to come through? Well, we've done fiat debasement. That's going to be a big, big one as part of this game, without a doubt. War as a growth tool, Paul Krugman / Henry Kissinger doctrine. Military-industrial complex does great out of it. More wars, more big wars. Steal other regime change countries' resources. Think Libya's oil, Ukraine's gold. Same for Syria, Iran, which is ongoing. Venezuela, which is ongoing. We got Afghanistan's opium. Got the drug trade going again so that the CIA can keep making the money that they've always been making during the war on drugs. That's on part 2, which I'll be referring back to. There's lots of interlinks. The one hand washes the other on all this arms of this mind map that I've done for you. So divide and conquer, Kissinger doctrine, which is also a Kissinger doctrine. Victim creation through drama triangle, aka someone is a perpetrator, you are a victim, and there is a third silent force, the controller of the game, aka feminism and Me Too movement. Men just do shit to women and are eating their meals, are being paid more, and are rapey, gropey, nasty people. And then you get the race wars, sort of Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, whatever the case may be. Leverage perception of slavery, and you owe. No one is born owing anybody anything. No one is born guilty, but they want you. White privilege, male privilege, flipping privilege, old privilege, boomer privilege, left versus right. This is a big, big doctrine. So you'll get the likes of that pathetic, overweight woman that's a singer, what was her name, Khazarian character, calling out Trump, saying he's the Orwellian character, overweight and huge in stupidity. Bette Midler is her name. So she's just stirring and keeping the pot going, hate on Trump. I'm on the left versus right. They're both clowns. They're both part of a game that want to create a fight, and you pick a side, red versus blue. They're both Zionists. They're both controlling. One's a Hollywood stooge and puppet. The other one is a Rockefeller stooge and puppet. Same octopus, different tentacle. Supposedly fighting with each other. It's part of the same machine. Ignore it. Rich versus poor. Perceived rich versus poor. So crabs in a bucket theory. Tax them. This will tie in to the lust to tax more. They will get the man in the street, the blue collar guy, hating on the guys that actually have resources. How are they going to do that? Hollowing out the middle class. The middle class will bear that tax burden. That is how they hollow out the semi-successful folk that have done reasonably well but aren't part of the control structure. The super, super rich will not be hurt at all. Do you think Bezos is going to be hurt? Do you think these Google heroes are going to be hurt by any rich versus poor taxation, regardless what Warren says or does? Further conglomeration of nation states, mega regions, EU expansion, Middle East, Greater Israel project, watch that. Bit of war, bit more war until friendly puppet states all subservient to Jerusalem, all playing the game. Unofficially, Middle Eastern, Tigris to Euphrates, larger state. They want Syria, they want Iran. They've got the Saudis helping them, their fake enemy. It's all on and it's all in the game. Okay, so what do you have? Enter the solution, the engineered problem, and then the solution. The SDR, the special drawing right. The IMF suddenly gets its realm, its significance in the realm. Formed in 1967, the SDR, just roundabout a year, 2-3 years before Nixon's 71 failure on the gold standard. How convenient. Did they know that? They created this. It played a role. 250 billion SDR was utilized to bail out countries. Oh, by the way, also bank bail-ins. This is how they're going to steal from you. Confiscation from citizens. How can I forget that? Confiscation from citizens. Gold. They've done it once before in America. Cash. If you keep too much cash, you're a criminal. We'll refer to criminalization in part 2. Every person will be a felon. You will commit 3 felons every day, simply by going to work, looking after your kids, coming home, cooking a meal. You're a felon. And the way they'll find you, and there's so many laws, so many overreach, and with digital surveillance, you'll see it all in tomorrow's release of part 2. Conglomerization of nation states, the solution, the SDR. New faith in a new fiat system. It'll be like subprime when you pile a whole bunch of super crap mortgages and you say, well, this one's marginally less stinky crap than that crap. And you do class A, class B, class C, you slice, you dice, you chop, and then you say, I'll sell you the best version. And this is now alchemy. It's gold. I've taken all these piles of stinky poo of varying degrees of stinkiness. I've put it all together. I've organized it, sliced and diced, put it in a nice wrapper, and now you have gold. This is what's going to happen with the SDR. It's going to be the subprime. The subprime was a proof of test. A proof of test model for putting crap together, getting it highly rated by a stooge agency, and next thing you know, the German banks are all sick as canaries buying all that garbage. Swiss banks as well. That's how you can transport the virus globally to synchronize everybody into a toxic, destroyed game in this orange box back there. All very, very marvelous. Now the SDR will have all the same flawed, fatally flawed currencies from different countries all put in a pot, and you add a whole bunch of crap currencies that are all over indebted. You mix it up, you call it a Woku and an SDR, rename, rebrand, boom, boom, chakalak. Now everyone can have one of those. Let's start all over again. Faith in the new IMF-based SDR, which is not American. We've done away with American hegemony. Meanwhile, it's propped up, probably more contribution by America than anybody else, etc., etc. Supposedly impartial. They always do a test. The SDR came in with 250 billion in the bailout after being a dormant tool. Suddenly it has its first play. Think of the bailouts that occurred during the Clinton era for the huge hedge fund, long-term capital. Could they test first? They always drill, can we get through doing a major bailout of a private financial institution that had our big insiders as investors, that didn't involve the public at all? Can we use tax and government money to bail out a private institution and get away with it? Yes, we can. Nothing happened. Nobody did shit about the bailout on long-term capital and the organized refund. Hey, we're good to go with the subprime thing then. We're just a bigger scale of the same. So you've seen now with the IMF, 250 billion. In the next collapse, trillions. They've tested it. No one took notice. It didn't get that much coverage. Means mainstream media didn't say too much, but let the fact bleed out at a sort of low level. Most people don't understand, don't think, don't wonder. Here is a supernatural non-nation state organization, non-nation state. Break down the national state borders. If you want an old world order that you've been planning for millennia, you've got to break down the nation state borders and have transnational institutions that are standing in to save the day, like financial equivalent of Iron Man. Yes, your heroes coming in to bail out those naughty politicians in your nation states. No more that. We'll take control now. New confidence in a new committee of new bureaucrats to commit the same sins again. That's right. We will talk about your best defense, financial and general preparedness in the next clip. And we will also cover all the 4 pillars of attack and how it all came about. But I need you to understand that problem first. That is it. This is your primer. This is what's coming. This is how they're going to get us. Conglomerization before their solution. Confiscation from citizens. I miss my one-arm bank bail-ins as an alternative to, an addition to taxation. Orchestrated bank bail-ins, reneging on the social contract, and then defaulting on debt via either currency debasement or sleight of hand and actually letting some debt go. That is what's coming for you. How do you personally prepare to be financially strong, and how do you personally prepare to actually survive it all from a prepper point of view? Generally, more in part 2. You'll hear about it. Hope that was interesting to you. Look forward to getting back to you with the other half. Until then, remember, go and sub the Reset Sniper. This is going out on both channels. Part 2 on the Reset Sniper only. Go find it under the Reset Sniper. Yes, indeed. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. And I look forward to getting back to you with the other half tomorrow.